October 22, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. Go ahead and turn off my lines. Looks like there was a very gradual, well, very choppy, clear sell-off, an overshoot, bounce, and then push back down, and another push back up. And this is how I drew up the charts. I took a total of one trade. It was rather early, and it was profitable, which is good. I didn't really take any further trades after that, and I kind of mentally forced myself to, well, check out in a way, to stop trading at around 10 because I could feel probably my mental capital drifting. And I'm afraid that if I try to take any trades after 10 a.m. Pacific Standard, I would end up probably with a bad trade, or I'd invent a trade and then probably trigger me and try to get whatever losses I took to get it back. So this is nice that I got a green, because the last couple days I didn't make a video on Monday, but I also took a loss on that day, and I was also busy, so I wasn't able to get a video out. But yeah, it's kind of a slow rebuild process because I didn't do well last week either. So price action was a little more, there was a lot more happening today than yesterday. And also, there was this news, there was no real economic data, but right around here, 9:30 Pacific Standard, the Trump administration came out and said something about some kind of export uh, impact on China. They weren't going to anything exported to China in terms of technology or something. They can't have the software. So I think there's just the market didn't take it very well and actually boxed off this blue area. And if you look at this blue area, it's quite amazing. This is essentially 5 minutes. All this price action happened in 5 minutes, and it dropped from 6740, roughly all the way down to 6700, let's say. It was a 40-point drop. Then it recovered a great deal of it, but it was still kind of a bearish down move. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. Also, this red down channel, which is transparent at the moment, I didn't really have it established early on. It was mainly after the fact, and I was just drew it just as a guideline, so it didn't really help to act as any key entry point or anything I could justify taking a trade off of. So in the pre-market, it sold off, bounced 2 legs up, another push down, bounce. So this is just very choppy in the pre-market. Looks like it was ranging. So on the open, it pushes down. You do have a technically first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here, but it looks more like one leg down, break, test the low. There's a triple test here, but this triple test didn't, in my opinion, really set up for anything other than a triple test. Plus the two parts of the triple test, 2 of the 3 tests, happen in quick succession. I usually like, if there's a initial one, a test, then a second one. This looks like it's just too quick in succession. If you're looking at a higher time frame, it's just kind of grouped together. So I didn't really think it was a safe triple test. Excuse me. Then prices moved up. So localized low, but I also saw it as new low, first entry short, pullback. Technically you have a second entry short and then a higher low right here. But you could also see it as a first entry short pullback, second entry short failure, but I call it the higher low. So it also creates a visual new high, first entry long. This makes a localized high, higher than this one. So it's actually one leg down. The count technically resets, but it looks like it's one leg down, pullback, second leg. So I counted it as kind of like a visual second entry long. Break of the green up channel has tested the high, and this could be making a second attempt. Bouncing off the EMA, but the EMA isn't super reliable right now because you had prices above and below. So I thought it was a possible trade. There's enough room to the highs for 2-point scalp, but I personally felt a little uncomfortable with it. Hits the high, so break, test the high, pushes down, sideways. Technically new low, first entry short, second entry short, but creates a third entry short. When it hits this high, it establishes what I think might be a trading range, and it sets up for my one trade. So technically you have a localized high. Even if you did the technical count, it's from here. First entry long, pullback, broke below, creates a second entry long. So you could essentially say it's another count reset right here. First entry long, pullback, potential second entry long with a triple test. There's 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. I mean, if you really wanted to say, you could say it's maybe 4 touches, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but I count this a triple test, second entry long, decent signal bar. I like that it moved one tick below the previous and closed relatively strong. I wasn't too worried about the EMA at this point because I'm playing range rules, and the EMA is just cutting through all the price action. So it's pretty much invisible right now. It's not really acting as support or resistance. I enter one tick, well, actually, I enter right at the high, going for a 2 point scalp, which would get me out just pretty much at the highs right here. Actually, I entered right below the highs, actually, because I entered a little bit behind. Pushes up, quickly get my scalp, and I was pretty much happy. Didn't play a runner, just kind of take it as I go, trying to rebuild the damage that had been done. So then chop sideways, creates. So I thought this was the initial trading range that we were in. It doesn't make it to the high. So then I thought there might have been a sub trading range with a resistance right up here because it looks like it was multiple tests. This is clearly an attempt to break through. It fails, breaks through, but it comes back in, breaks through. And so I thought this was a multiple test, but it's not good enough for a trade. Pushes down because this isn't a good signal bar. Closes kind of neutral. Pushes. It's following the lows of this trading range. So I'm really liking this support, looking for a setup. Potential fail breakout. Another potential fail breakout because the range could actually be slightly lower if you didn't want to treat this as a clean break. But now it pushes all the way down, hits the pre-market low. So I'm thinking, are we in this larger trading range? But I'm not the biggest fan of this trading range because there's so much empty space here. However, I can't discount the fact that there's looks like it's finding some kind of support here. Pushes up. So now as it pushes up, I'm wondering, is it going to hit this as a potential resistance or this one, or is it actually going to push all the way back up to here? My my thoughts are that it's highly or very less likely to push all the way up to here because as you can see, it had a lot of trouble previously. It might get up to here, but it also could be a breakout pullback. So excuse me, just waiting. First entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short. It's a bad signal bar. You wouldn't have tried to go short there. Pushes down, hits the low side, and it finally breaks out. So I'm thinking, is it a breakout pullback or a fail breakout? Fail breakout with the price moving back in. So it is a fail breakout. Looks like it's moving back in. I'm wondering about the EMA now. Is it going to come into play? It kind of does come into play. It doesn't really touch it, but it is acting as some kind of resistance. EMA is starting to curl down. Looks like it's moving down this green down channel. No clean second entries. They're all first entries at this point. It's a bunch of first entries. I mean, you could do, if you're counting very strict and you're counting every time it broke above, you do get second entries in here, but they're just kind of second entries in the middle of nowhere without the proper context. We have a first entry short. Technically, have a second entry short created right here when it broke below this guy, but it's a bad signal bar. Pushes out. I'm thinking I'm in a trading range here. I believe there's a potential fail breakout here. And actually, it creates a, so it's technically the new low is here. You have a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. You can do a count reset. And I actually thought this is close enough to call it a double bottom. So I saw it as a first entry short push up, second entry short. Second entry short, this isn't a good signal bar, so I'm not thinking of going short yet. Plus, you don't really know it's going to go short, or you don't really know it's going to set up a second entry short. Here it's confirmed second entry short, pushes back up. And I actually thought this is probably one of the best. Well, it doesn't run very far, but a good setup because it looks like there's two legs up after the break of the screen down channel. First attempt up, two small legs back, second leg up, and it's pushing back down with a lower high. Close at the low. I thought this is good enough for a quick 2 point scalp. Pushes down. So right here, one of these candles would have given you the 2 point scalp. Hits here, bounces. So it looks like it's one touch, two touch, three touch, triple test. But when I see this triple test, although it's a nice signal bar, it closed below this guy. And the other thing going against it is a fail breakout on this side. So I'm expecting a potential fail breakout on this side. Plus the overall bias right now is going down. It's bearish. So I'm a little reluctant to try to take this long. Pushes up, comes back down, starts moving down this purple down channel. First entry short, kind of chops around. Keep in mind, this red down channel doesn't exist yet. I mean, I just connected it much, much later in the day. So I'll actually go ahead and delete this for now because it doesn't exist at this point. First entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short failure, but it feels congested right here. These candles are just pretty much side by side. Creates a triple test, one attempt, second attempt, third attempt. The triple test I call it an almost trade because it's just too tight in this trading range right now. So it looks like it's a spike up, break, test of the high, pushback. It could test a second high. I'm thinking personally there could be one leg sideways consolidation, a second leg. So it could start a reversal, but it's not a good setup, so I didn't feel safe taking it. Pushes and it pushes through, starts trending up. I'm thinking it might be moving up this yellow up channel, which is a little bit bigger, touches pretty nicely at the high side, confirms nicely at the low side. No clean second entries right now. There's just dojis right here. Pushes down, breaks. I'm expecting a test of this orange up channel, excuse me, this yellow up channel, but it kind of fails and starts moving down. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's moving down this orange down channel, break on this side. So this is what I've noticed. This isn't a super fully developed channel yet, but looks like something going on here. Even if you connected at the low of this one, there's a small breakout here, but I actually had it slightly higher. So the small breakout here, when there's a breakout in the same direction as the original channel, there's still a chance, but it's less likely that this is going to come back and test the lows necessarily because it broke on the low side. If it broke on the high side, and then if it broke on the high side without a break on this side, then there is a higher probability of it coming down and test the extreme. So seeing this, I'm pretty much kind of waiting, watching to see if this plays out, if it actually breaks to the low side. But from experience, what I've noticed is it's just a less likelihood. So I just have to be extra careful unless the setup just looks bulletproof. So if first entry short, technically I have a second entry short here. It's pretty nice. It moved one tick above and then flushed down, engulfing this one. So it's a pretty nice setup, except unless you took it engulfing, which is hard to take seeing this hammer doji, you have to take it right here and then hope for your 2-point scalp. But after this closes, then I'm definitely not going to try to take a trade down here. And I don't want to put my entry deep up here because you're asking for prices to pretty much open where this closes, push up, catch you, then push back down. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. So it looks like in this case, it would have worked. So you have a new low, first entry short, visual first entry short, second entry short, pushes down. So it is creating the second leg. So it's down, 2 legs up, another flush down, breaks the pre-market low, flushes down pretty strongly on this green down channel. First entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here, but it's not a good signal bar. Pushes down and through. I see a potential fail breakout here of this potential developing trading range. And I'm thinking they'll be creating a corresponding break on this side. It doesn't quite do it. So you do have a new low, first entry short. You also have a new high, first entry long. Then it creates the second entry long potential. So localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Low here, first entry short, pullback, second entry short failure. Now the second entry short failure, unless you took it on engulfing, I was a little reluctant because there's a fail breakout here. I'm expecting a fail breakout here, but it wasn't successful here. So looks like it pulled down, it bounced off of this support again. The only reason I marked this was pretty much after the fact. If I was a little bit more in tune, maybe I would have suspected this earlier and try to enter with one tick above. But this is definitely a mark after the fact, after this candle printed. Then I thought, okay, there is a clear second entry long, failed second entry short. So the only thing I could hope for is probably a fail breakout here. Then it sets up nicely for another push back down to test this low. But it kind of stalls, so I'm kind of waiting again now. Pushes out. This could be the fail breakout. But if there's no clear sequence now, because it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, but this third entry short is, especially this one, is creating new highs. So I'm definitely not thinking of going short. Sideways consolidation, pushes up, hits the high side, first entry long, creates a new high again, pushes down. I drew this yellow up channel, but there's no real key entry point that you can play off of here because nothing quite sets up just right. Pushes down on this red down channel, localized high, first entry long pullback. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but it's second entry long a little bit out in the middle of nowhere. First entry short pullback, you technically have a second entry short here, but when you see this, you're not thinking short. Then it does confirm a second entry short. It just doesn't look clean. The best you can hope for is a lower high. You technically get a lower high here, but it opens here, pushes down, and it never breaks below this guy. So you don't have a trade. And then this follow through is inside to this guy. So there's also no trade. So if I was thinking about taking a trade, I've just kind of, now I'm sitting on my hands. I'm just waiting to see how this plays out. It does finally push down, creates a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. This is an almost trade because this isn't a good signal bar. It's above the EMA. And then you get a confirmed second entry short after this bar forms and closes. But by then it feels a little late. Looking for a lower high, which never shows up before it makes a new low. Technically I have a lower high here, but it's just too far from the setup. Plus, it already made a new low, so there's no short there. Prices move down. So this is about right about the time. So it's new low, first entry short, second entry short right here. This is when the Trump administration comes out and says there's going to be these big tariffs or something, export restrictions on any technology that's going to have software in it to China. And so this is all in 5 minutes. You see this big drop. When I heard it, I just decided, okay, well, I clearly can't react fast enough because this is all in 1 minute. Chopping around, this whole blue rectangle happened in 5 minutes. This is a great way to lose a lot of money. Or if you're quick enough and you can read it, maybe make money. But I'm neither. I'm not fast enough and I'm not smart enough to try to capitalize on this. So it's just sit on my hands, wait for this 5 minutes to clear out. There's still some blurbs of things coming out. Also, this wasn't restricted solely to the ES. This happened also on the NQ and on a number of stocks. So if you look at this timestamp at 9:30 Pacific Standard or 12:30 Eastern Standard, you're going to see this big gigantic drop and a lot of noise right around this time frame. So I'm just sitting, waiting. It moves sideways. It looks like a leg up sideways. I'm expecting potentially another leg up. So it kind of keeps chopping sideways. Initially, I thought it was in this trading range. Then I thought it could be after this formed, this trading range, because it looks like a double confirmation up here. Support looks pretty solid here. EMA is starting to curl up. It could be in play now. Pushes down, creates multiple tests and a second entry long. So localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. I call this an almost trade because other than having a multiple test, it does have a second entry long break of this green down channel. Maybe there's a trade here, but I was a little reluctant to try to take something here. There is enough room to highs. So actually, I will say it's, I'll put in the notes as a possible trade just because I was not sure of it at the time. Now that I've seen it, it looks like a possible trade. It's based on the strength of this multiple test. First entry long, potential second entry long, good signal bar. So I take it back. This is probably a possible trade, but I couldn't, and I didn't identify it as a possible trade in real time. It's only after hindsight. And ideally, my hindsight read will slowly align with my real-time read so that I'll get much better. So pushes out, has a failed breakout, creates this visual second entry short, failed second entry long. So it's new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long has failed. Also visual first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short following a failed breakout, strong push down. Looks like it's a strong push back into this range. So I like this, except this candle is quite large. I believe it's going to move back down, but I wanted a lower high confirmation. You kind of get a lower high right here. So lower high confirms this previous setup. Looks like it's moving back down, fail breakout on this side. So I thought there's a possible trade here. Pushes down, hits the bottom. I'm expecting a potential bounce, but there could be a little bit of momentum coming from this fail breakout to create another fail breakout down here. It looks like it's holding. Technically, you have a first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short hasn't failed yet, but is also see it more likely as a first entry short. Group these two together. First entry short visual. Got the second entry short here, but it happened very quickly. There's no way to try to get in on this trade. Plus, you wouldn't enter at the lows here or after the close because clearly there's some kind of bounce point here. Starts breaking through. This bounce point doesn't hold. Starts moving down. This green down channel, no clean second entries. There is a, well, almost trade here. It's a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. Unfortunately, this candle wasn't the right color. I wasn't sure if this was the actual range yet. So If this had been a red candle, I think I'd be more inclined to try to take this trade, but I was just extra conservative. In this case, if you went for a 2 point scalp, you would have gotten out just barely. If you waited longer for more than 2 point, you would have gotten stopped out. Prices move up, breaks, and starts moving down this channel. So I look to the left. This has been a very choppy sell-off. And that's kind of where I don't think I took it from up here, but that's kind of where I thought, okay, there's some kind of range. It's not the cleanest, but this drawing this transparent red down channel actually doesn't help at all because you clearly already know that this is prices moving down. So having this just clutters up the chart, but at least you have a guideline. You know prices are moving down, which as I mentioned, you really don't need because it's obvious prices are moving down. So that's how come I had that earlier on. So to break this orange down channel, test the low, Wells, new low, first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short above the EMA. I'm not liking this. I want to see a potential, if it's a reversal, I want to see a failed second entry short, ideally with a higher low following through. But it doesn't, kind of comes back down, tests the low. So I'm not thinking of going long anymore. I don't know if there's a reversal. So it creates a new low here, pushes up, break. I'm expecting a test of this red up channel. It falls short. It looks like it's in a range now, clearly in a range. I saw this at the real time. I thought, okay, well, new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Fortunately, you didn't get a higher low here, a break below this guy, because this is a decent signal bar, except that the signal bar is inside this guy. So although I suspect the EMA might be starting to hold, I need a little bit more confirmation before I just accept that it's going to hold, especially if I'm trying to go for a 2 point scalp, which is going to press to the highs here. Prices then move down, break of the orange down channel, test the low, starts moving up this green up channel, break, test the high. So it's just kind of noisy, which is kind of the story of the day. Looks like it made two legs up, one leg up, sideways consolidation, pullback, second leg up, new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Also looks like a visual first entry, second entry. It just wasn't the greatest fan of this being below the EMA or right at the EMA. You get a higher low here, but the higher low, it's following from these a little bit noisy price action, so I left it alone. Pops around, looks like it's in a sideways consolidation. So this yellow up channel isn't established yet, so I'm thinking we're in a range. It creates this new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long here has failed. But it's also a localized low. I mean, technically the low is here, the lowest low. First entry short, second entry short, count resets. So now here's your new low, start the count. First entry short, pullback, second entry short with a lower high. So first entry long, second entry long, and a lower high. I thought this is a possible trade. Potential top of the range, small little breakout, fail breakout. It's making lower highs every time. So it looks like it might push back down. The only thing that might be of issue is the EMA, but it clearly broke below. So I thought this is a possible trade right here. Good enough for a 2 point scalp. Starts moving up, bounces. So this is when I established this yellow up channel because it looked like it was one touch, two touch, three touch, clearly a fourth touch. High side, I wasn't sure if it was actually this high, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, or slightly lower. When I had it slightly lower, it looked like there was better confirmations, like this touch, this touch, this touch. New high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, potential bounce off this yellow up channel. Actually, I should have marked this. Let me see. First entry long pullback, second entry long. I think I didn't mark it because these candles are pretty large. It was a sell-off, recovery, and another sell-off all within this candle. And then technically this candle is within this one. I think that's why I didn't mark it, or I marked it. Probably should have marked it as an almost, but I saw it in real time. Probably forgot to mark it. Was not paying attention, but I'll mark it now after the fact. Pushes up, breaks out to the high side. First entry long, pullback. You technically have a second entry long here. There's no triple test though, but I thought this might have been a possible trade because after the break of this, looks like it was two legs up, one leg down, pullback, second leg. EMA might be starting to hold. I was thinking there's a possibility this could make a second leg, but it also already made two legs up. So I'm not really 100% sure if this could have been counted as one big leg, but it looks like it's cleaner as one leg, sideways consolidation, sell off, second leg. It's making a sideways consolidation push up. I thought there was going to be some kind of repeat pattern here where it pushes and then it creates another push up. Pushes and then it creates a triple test. Unfortunately, this triple test, I call it an almost trade just because it's technically inside to this one. This one did break through the EMA. If this one held above the EMA with a close, then I think it would have been, I think I would have felt it was safer, which is up and through. So I tried my best to try to capture all this price action into one dominant channel, but it doesn't fit quite well here. Maybe down here, but then everything cuts through. Up here feels like doesn't fit too well because there's no real confirmations on the high side. But that's where I decided to just treat it as this one, a push up and a more shallow green channel going up. New high, first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here. It's hard to see, but it also looks like it's just one leg down, pull back, then pushes down. Maybe a bounce off of here, off of this yet to be confirmed green up channel. So it does confirm here. So it's like a first entry long, pull back, second entry long. This is your signal bar. It was a bad signal bar. So I'm actually looking for a higher low, but I'm looking for a higher low mainly to confirm my read because it's too late in the day to try to take this trade. There's only 13 minutes left. Potential higher low, but I don't like the signal bar. Then your higher low does show up here. So the higher low does show up, but it's too late in the day. You're already moving into the last 10 minutes. Prices then continue sideways. It looks like it's following this green up channel pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Pushes down, test the low side. Looks like I'm in a range, but now it's just too late. Just moves into the close. So looks like most of the setups, in my opinion, happened in the first half of the day. Then, of course, there was this curveball that was thrown at us at around 9:30 Pacific Standard, which had things fall out of what I thought might have been the channel we were supposed to be playing. Again, this transparent red doesn't really help because it's too late in the day to act or use as a key entry point. There's a huge breakout here. And then this curveball just threw everything for a loop. So took one trade, was profitable. Just I think I'm just grateful, just trying to dig out of the hole from the bad trades that I had. So hopefully that was helpful.